Mama's first visit after their 2-year anniversary was a storm Murnatu had been bracing for. From the moment Mama stepped out of the car, her gaze was fixed on Murnatu's stomach, a cold, critical appraisal that made the hair on her arms stand up. There was no warm hug, no cheerful greeting, just a sour look that settled on Mama's face like a permanent scowl. They sat in the living room, and Mama leaned forward, her eyes narrowing as she looked at Murnatu. "Are you hiding something?" she asked, her voice booming so loudly it cut through the hum of the fan. "Or is your womb empty?" The neighbors shifted uncomfortably, and Murnatu felt her face flush. Gozie, who was beside her, was tense, his hands clenching on his knees, as Murnatu forced a smile with a fragile mask over her pounding heart. "Mama, it will happen. We are praying." Mama scoffed, a dry, sharp sound that felt like a slap. "Prayer without result is useless. Are you eating right? Are you doing what a married woman should do? Look at you, so young and healthy, yet you are the only one not fulfilling your purpose." Her words felt like a public stripping of Murnatu's dignity. Mama made it clear that her worth was tied to her ability to bear a child, a test Murnatu had failed. Gozie's silence was deafening. Earlier he had promised Murnatu that they were in this together, but in that moment, under his mother's glare, he simply looked down, leaving her to face the accusations alone. "I don't know what you are waiting for," Mama continued, her voice growing louder. 2 years and nothing. Is it not my son's house you are living in? Are you not eating his food? What exactly are you here for if not to give him children? Murnatu swallowed the lump in her throat, a bitter pill of shame and silent pain. Her words stung more than a slap because they were not just a question. They were an accusation, a dismissal of her entire being. In Mama's eyes, Murnatu was not a person with feelings, a wife who loved her husband, but an empty vessel, a disappointment. She could only see it there, frozen, a public witness to her own failure. The pressure only increased. On another occasion, Mama cornered Murnatu in the kitchen. "A woman that cannot give children, what use is she?" Mama whispered sharply, her voice like a knife edge. "Do you think my son married you for decoration? Do you think you can sit here eating his food, enjoying his money and refuse to give him children? God forbid." Murnatu wanted to scream the truth, that her son was the one with the problem, but she held it in, out of love, out of respect, out of fear. The words burned a hole in her throat, a secret so heavy she could feel it in her bones. One evening, while Murnatu served her food, Mama pushed the plate aside with a clatter and stared at her with cold, piercing eyes. The rest of the family sat in awkward silence. "Tell me the truth, Murnatu," Mama began, her voice low and menacing. "Are you a witch? Did you tie my son's destiny? Is that why his home is childless?" Her words cut deep, slicing through the last of Murnatu's resolve. She trembled, but forced herself to answer softly. "Mama, I am not a witch. I am your daughter. I want children too." Mama laughed bitterly, a sound that held no humor, only contempt. "Don't call yourself my daughter. A tree that bears no fruit cannot be called a tree. Don't think I do not know women like you. You want to eat and block the lineage of my son." She looked at Murnatu, not with anger, but with a horrifying, utter dismissal. Murnatu cried that night, silently, while Gozie snored beside her. She loved him with a fierce ache, but his silence was killing her. He saw what his mother was doing. He knew the truth, but he chose peace over truth. He chose to let Murnatu carry the burden alone. And every night, the weight of it threatened to crush her. One day, as Murnatu was home, Gozie had gone to work and she was tidying up the living room when Mama arrived without warning. She didn't knock. She simply walked in, her face set in a grim, determined scowl. In her hands, she clutched a small bag filled with bottles of herbs. She didn't offer a greeting. Instead, she set the bag down on the dining table with a thud and began to pull out its content. There was a bottle of cloudy, foul-smelling liquid, a small bag of dried-up leaves and roots, and a rusty-looking cup. "Come," she commanded, her voice low and sharp. "Sit." Murnatu obeyed. Her heart was pounding, a rhythm of dread. Mama then poured the bitter concoction into the cup, its agate smell filling the room and making Murnatu's stomach churn. "Drink it," Mama said, her eyes watching Murnatu with a hawk-like intensity. "If your womb is clean, the child will come. If not, we will know if you are the one eating your children in the spirit." The accusation was a cold slap across Murnatu's face. Mama wasn't just questioning her fertility now. She was accusing her of a spiritual crime. At that moment, Murnatu swallowed the bitterness, her throat burning, praying silently for the ordeal to end. She drank it all, the taste of soil and ash lingering on her tongue. She did this again and again over the next few weeks. Each time Mama came, she brought a new herbal remedy, a new prophet's concoction, each one more vile than the last. Murnatu obeyed, desperate to appease her and show her that she had nothing to hide. When everything changed, the night Mama went too far, she came with a bucket of holy water. Murnatu knew it was meant to cleanse her, but the look in Mama's eyes was not one of a mother-in-law seeking a remedy. It was one of a woman possessed by her anger and her will. "Open your mouth," she demanded, her hands trembling as she brought the calabash close. This time, Murnatu hesitated. Mama had never tried to force her. "Are you refusing me? Is it because you know what it will do to you?" And without waiting for an answer, she lunged. She seized Murnatu's arm, twisting it behind her back as she tried to force the foul-smelling water into her mouth. The liquid splashed onto her face and neck, cold and gritty against her skin. This was an assault, a moment of pure raw violence, and in that moment, something inside Murnatu snapped. Gozie wasn't there. He wasn't there to shield her, to stand up for her, to stop this. She was completely alone. She wasn't just protecting his secret anymore. She was fighting for her dignity, for her very self. She shoved Mama away, the sound of the calabash shattering on the floor echoing the fragments of her broken spirit. Ngozi came home that evening, whistling a tune and unwinding his tie, oblivious to the war that had just been waged in his house. Murnatu was sitting on the sofa, still trembling with her heart in her throat. "Murnatu, my love, I'm home," he said, walking towards her with a smile. "How was your day?" She looked at him, at the casual ease of his manner, and felt a wave of anger and despair. He was safe at work, shielded from the cruel accusations and spiritual assault she endured in his absence. Her voice, when she finally spoke, was a whisper, but it carried the weight of months of silent suffering. "Your mother came," she said, her eyes fixed on his. "She came with herbs and concoctions." His smile faltered, and a familiar look of dread crossed his face. She accused me of witchcraft," Murnatu interrupted, her voice rising slightly. "She said I was eating my children in a spirit. And today she tried to force a liquid down my throat. She tried to physically hurt me." The last words hung in the air, heavy and undeniable. Gozie froze, his face draining of color. He looked at Murnatu to the shattered calabash on the floor, the evidence of the struggle impossible to ignore. His silence, which had been a shield for so long, had now become a weapon, a testament to his neglect. He took a step back, his eyes darting between Murnatu and the mess on the floor, but he didn't say a word. Murnatu pleaded, her voice breaking. "Please, say something." He opened his mouth, then closed it again. He could not find the words to justify his inaction or to comfort her. He had chosen his mother's peace over Murnatu's truth, and now the consequences of that choice were all around them. In the broken pot, in her trembling hands, and in the silence he could no longer hide behind. "I can't do this anymore," she said, the words a quiet promise to herself. "I cannot fight this battle alone." One day, as Murnatu was alone at home, the front door burst open and Mama stepped in, her face an unreadable mask of grim determination. She didn't offer a greeting, nor did she wait for Murnatu to speak. Her voice was as cold and sharp as a stone blade. "Get your car keys," she commanded. Not a question, but an order. "We are going to see a man of God." Murnatu's heart sank. She knew what this meant. She tried to protest, but Mama cut her off. "Don't argue. Do you want to remain childless forever? This is for your own good, for my son's good, for the good of the family." Mama took the keys from Murnatu's trembling hand and marched out to her car. Murnatu followed, feeling like a prisoner. The drive was very silent. It was tense, the city lights blurring past the windows. Mama then gave her directions to parts of Lagos Murnatu had never seen, the streets becoming narrower and darker as they went deeper into an unfamiliar area. The car finally stopped in front of a small, nondescript building. A hand-painted sign read, "The Voice of the Divine Prophet's Ministry." The air was thick with the overpowering smell of cheap incense and the sound of feverish chanting coming from within. Inside, the light was dim, illuminated by a single flickering fluorescent bulb. A man, dressed in a simple white tunic, sat on a raised platform. He was a prophet. His eyes were closed as he swayed back and forth. A small bronze bell clenched in his hand. Mama pulled Murnatu forward and they knelt before him. The prophet's eyes snapped open and immediately fixed on Murnatu. He didn't ask for her name or her problem. He simply said, "I see a dark spirit." He boomed his voice gravely. "A stubborn spirit like a serpent coiling around a fruitful tree. This serpent, it has come to block the womb and to steal from the owner of the house." Mama's triumphant nod was a dagger to Murnatu's heart. He wasn't talking about a spiritual problem. He was talking about her. The accusations she had endured in whispers and shouts were now being broadcast by a stranger, with Mama as his eager audience. He rang the bell over Murnatu's head repeatedly, the sound echoing in her ears as if to shatter her very will. Then, he poured a sticky, sweet-smelling oil on her head, muttering rapid-fire prayers. Mama joined in, her voice filled with a desperate zeal. It felt like a public stripping of Murnatu's soul, a violation of her body and spirit. She closed her eyes and whispered her own silent prayer, not for a child, but for the strength to survive this. The drive home was a blur. Mama was ecstatic, chattering about how the prophet had confirmed her suspicions and how a breakthrough was coming soon. Murnatu just sat there, her mind numb, the scent of the prophet's oil still on her skin. She was no longer an empty vessel. She was now, in their minds, a vessel, possessed by a demon that needed to be exorcised. When she finally reached home, she went straight to the bathroom and scrubbed herself raw, trying to wash away the oil, the accusations, and the feeling of utter helplessness. She looked at her reflection and saw a stranger, a woman who had been spiritually violated, and a wife whose husband's family was actively conspiring against her. Her anger, which had been simmering for so long, finally bubbled over. Murnatu realized that night that she couldn't go on like this. The shame, the silent endurance, the sacrifices she made for a man who chose peace over her dignity, it all had to end. The time Mama came with her accusations, Murnatu would not be silent. She would not protect their secrets. She would break the chains of her silence, no matter the cost. Her voice would be the weapon, and the truth, the only shield. And when Gozie came home that evening, the heavy silence was the first thing he noticed. He took one look at Murnatu's exhausted face and the faint, lingering smell of cheap incense in the air, and the carefree expression on his face disappeared completely. "What happened?" he asked, his voice strained. "Murnatu, are you okay?" "Your mother happened," Murnatu said, her voice shaking with a cold fury she had never felt before. "She came here and took me to a prophet. She had me exorcised." He flinched, a familiar look of dread washing over his face. But this time, Murnatu didn't let him retreat into his silence. "She accused me of witchcraft," Murnatu continued, her voice gaining strength. "She said I was eating our children in the spirit, and the prophet confirmed it. He poured oil on my head and called me a dark spirit. She forced me to my knees while a stranger performed a ritual to cast the devil out of me." The words hung in the air, heavy and undeniable. He stood frozen, the colors draining from his face as he looked from her to the floor. His helplessness only fueled her anger. I'm so sorry, Murnatu. I'm so sorry," he stammered, his eyes filled with a terror she had never seen. "Sorry isn't enough anymore," she said, the words cutting through the air like a knife. "Your mother has been doing this for months, and you've let it happen. You've stood by her and let her tear me down and accuse me, all to protect your secrets." Murnatu took a deep breath, steeling herself for what she was about to say. The shame and fear she had carried for so long were gone, replaced by a steely resolve. "I can't live like this. I can't be with a man who let his mother treat me like this. You have a choice to make, and you have to make it now. You either stand up for me, you tell her the truth, or I leave." His eyes widened in shock, but Murnatu was resolved. She was no longer the girl who cried silently in the bathroom. She was a woman who was done being silent. She was done being a punching bag for his mother's frustrations and his shame. She had to fight, and she would not lose this fight alone. Mama's face was a mixture of concern and impatience as she watched her son sit down in the living room. The silence was thick with all the unspoken words from the last few weeks. "My son," she began, her voice soft but firm. "I know you are upset with me, but I only want what is best for you and your family. The prophet confirmed what I already knew. We must fight for your destiny." Gozie took a deep breath. His voice was quiet, but it was steady, unlike the shaky uncertainty she was used to. "Mama," he began, looking in her direction, "I am here today to talk about this. I know you love me, and I know your intentions are good, but I need you to stop." Mama's eyes widened. "Stop what? Helping you? You want me to abandon my own son when he's in trouble? I told you from the beginning, you should have looked for a good Igbo girl to marry. You should not have married from the north. All these problems are what you get for bringing a stranger into our family. The words struck with a new kind of venom. Gozier's expression hardened, and his voice, though still calm, was now laced with an unwavering steel. The truth is, you are wrong, Mama, he said, holding her gaze. Murnatu is not a stranger. She is my wife. Her being from the north has nothing to do with this. The problem is not who she is or where she is from. The problem is that you refuse to accept her. You have let your prejudice blind you, and it has only brought pain. He leaned forward, his hands resting on his knees. I am not a child anymore, Mama. I am a man. I am a husband. Murnatu and I love each other, and we have faith in God's plan for us. We will wait for a child in our own time, our own terms. He stood up, his posture tall and resolute. I am asking you as my mother to respect my wife, to respect our marriage. The constant questions, the insults, the herbs and the accusations, all of it has to stop. I'm begging you, please, let us be. The familiar click of the front door was followed by the scent of Mama's expensive perfume and a feeling of dread that settled in Murnatu's stomach. Mama came into the living room, her face etched with a familiar look of accusation. In her hand, she held a new bottle, its content a murky brown liquid. Murnatu, she began, her voice sharp. I went to see a powerful pastor. He gave me this blessed oil. He says we will anoint the entire house. It will cast out any spirit that is eating up my son's blessings. Murnatu looked at the bottle, then at her. The usual lump of fear in her throat was gone, replaced by a cold, unwavering resolve. She took a deep breath. Mama, stop, she said. Her voice was quiet but firm. Her sound so unfamiliar to both of them that Mama froze. She blinked, startled by Murnatu's defiance. What did you say to me? Have you refusing to do what is right for my son? You will not do this, Murnatu said, her voice rising slightly but holding steady. You will not bring any more herbs or oils or concoction into this house. You will not call me a witch. You will not accuse me of eating your son's blessings. Mama's eye widened in disbelief. Are you mad? Have you lost your mind? You will talk to me, your mother-in-law, like this? You are my mother-in-law and I respect you, Murnatu continued, each word a stone laid on the path of her resolve. But your love for your son does not give you the right to insult me. It does not give you the right to disgrace me. My womb is in God's hands, not yours, and you are not him. I have done nothing to you or to this family to deserve this. I have been a good wife and I have prayed and waited, but I will no longer be shamed for a blessing that has not yet come. Mama hissed, her face contorting with rage. Don't think I do not know what you are doing. You are a tree that bears no fruit, and you are trying to block the destiny of my son. My husband's destiny is not mine to block, Murnatu retorted, standing tall. What you are doing is ungodly. The true work of God is love, not accusations. You will not spit on me again while I keep quiet. The room was heavy with silence. Murnatu had finally drawn the line. She had not told her the truth, but she had defended her honor and her sanity. She had broken the chains of her words, and for the first time in a very long time, she was free. Mama stood there, the bottle of oil clutched in her hand, utterly stunned and weaponless. And when Gozier came home that evening, he found the living room in a state of silent war. Mama was sitting stiffly on a sofa, a look of righteous fury on her face, while Murnatu stood near the dining table, rigid with resolve she had never felt before. My son, Mama burst out the moment he stepped through the door. Relief flooding her voice, she quickly rose and moved towards him as if for protection. You need to talk to your wife. Do you know how she spoke to me? It's unheard of. She told me to stop coming to your house. She told me to stay away. Because his face shifted from confusion to disbelief. He looked at Murnatu, then turned back to his mother. Murnatu, is this true? Murnatu met his gaze evenly, her voice steady. What is true is that your mother wanted to bring another concussion into this house. What is true is that I told her to stop. What is true is that I told her I would no longer be a punching bag for her insults. Mama's anger fled. Did I not tell you? She is mad. I am only trying to help. She turns on me like a snake. And what is true? Murnatu continued, her eyes fixed on Gozie, ignoring Mama's outburst, is that her help is only abuse. She has called me a witch, an empty vessel, and now she wants to continue doing so in our home. I cannot live this way. Gozie's head swiveled between them, his face pale with a mix of fear and shame. He was finally seeing the full scale of war, and he was standing right in the middle of it. Murnatu took a step forward, her voice dropping to a low, powerful whisper. You have a choice to make, and you have to make it now. You will either stand up for me, you will tell her to stop, and you will put an end to this, or I am leaving. I cannot be with a man who lets his family destroy me to protect his own shame. The silence that followed was deafening. Mama stood frozen, her mouth slightly ajar, finally silenced by the truth. Gozier's eyes were wide with shock, his terrified gaze moving between the two women who were demanding a choice from him. For the first time, he had to face the consequences of his silence. This storm is only gathering. Mama won't stop, and Murnatu can't keep silent forever. What happens when the truth finally bursts out? Watch out for part 2. Like, share with friends and family, and don't forget to follow for more stories.